And YouTube says we're live. I hope we're live. I don't know. I'm just going on YouTube's word for this. And if you can't believe YouTube, who the hell can you believe? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Full Course Yellow. This is just basically a chat between a few friends on a Thursday night. From the team at In Pit Lane, we've got all sorts of people. Our floor manager Pete Johnson is with us. My co-host on the desk, Craig Doc Latigo is here with us. Chris Ritchie, a camera operator and director, and God, is there anything he hasn't done on the program over the years? So yes, we just get together and we thought we'd have a chat and just to keep a bit of content out there while nothing has been happening locally on track until this weekend, because things are happening. The restrictions, the Ring of Steel. That's that's got to be the name of your next pay-per-view. WWE presents Ring of Steel. So that's happening this weekend. Phillip Island, the August Access meeting, and some of the super sprints, the Pyack sprints, have all been sort of merged into one. And they're running this weekend down at Phillip Island. Now, unfortunately, no spectators, and we were hoping to go down and take a camera down. Unfortunately, I can't get a direct answer as to whether we're allowed to go down with a camera, or how many people or how many cameras we can take down, or what we're able to do down there. But if there's a chance of getting down there on at least one of the days, probably Saturday when the supercarts are running, then yes, we will go down. Or at least I will go down. But Doc anybody else on the program can join me and grab a camera, and we can bring you some actual cars going around in circles, which would be nice. But anyway, that's what's happening locally. Internationally, we've got the Turkish Grand Prix. And Pete, they're going back to Istanbul, which could be interesting for a whole number of reasons politically, particularly for the French teams and drivers. But Istanbul is, from my recollection of the last time they raced there, Istanbul for a Tilke track is actually pretty bloody good.
It was one of the better ones. That in India, one of the better ones that he designed. And it's had a lot of excitement there over the years, last time that was there.
Yeah, so obviously, the Lewis Hamilton juggernaut looks like it was set to continue, but
Yeah.
I think it's like, can he wrap it up this week? If Valtieri, I mean, he's virtually got it already, but can he wrap it up officially this weekend?
I think he can. Yeah, I think he can. Um, Certainly, Verstappen's now out of even getting a podium championship finish. And the acting managing director of acting team principal of Williams has got COVID, so
Yes.
he's there.
Yes, okay, Richard Catchlover just said, I have to turn around. I've got everything set up a bit differently today, so I've actually got I've got our screen on this side, but I've got the YouTube on the other side. So I've got to turn around and say, hello, Richard. G'day, Richard Catchlove, who says, tell them we're going to Coles. Yes, well, we can go. I don't think there is a Coles within within Phillip Island racing circuit, but like I was saying before, before we started the show to Doc and to all the guys, that under normal circumstances, I would probably do what in the end we frustratingly end up having to do way too often, is just say, look, we'll just go down there and we'll talk our way in. But under the current circumstances, that's
to the ring of ocean now, not the ring of steel.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we're not going. As I said, I've left messages for people at Pyack, and if somebody gets back to me, early enough tomorrow, because I still got to get back into the habit of all this. It was like saying beforehand, in terms of just whether I'm physically capable of wandering around a huge bloody racetrack carrying a camera and a tripod and all the rest of it for 6 and 7 hours on end. I basically walked from the house to the mailbox, or from my car to the supermarket and back, and that's all I've done for the last 6 months. So
why don't we just go down, Brett, and be protesters and just take a few placards and sing
Oh,
chant a few songs and just that just dress like hippies as well though too, and shout about nothing, and we could do all that sort of stuff. And we're going to get there and just by the way, while we're here, you don't mind if we just take a few shots, do you?
I do like the. They're pointing out that the AASA are running a meeting at Sandown at the end of the month as well, 27th and to the 29th of October. I'm not sure what the deal is about going there. We'd like to go there too. AASA is a problem for us in terms of being able to film because of insurance reasons. Our insurance does not cover AASA meetings, which doesn't stop me. I mean, I'm happy to put myself, but I can't put the crew at risk, and also the AASA, basically won't let us in unless we're sort of covered by insurance.
I'm happy to go with you, Brett, because I'm worth more dead than alive as well. Then anyway, too. So
remember, this is public. I mean, there are people watching who need to quit at the moment.
I'll have to get my will then. I have to do a lot of sucking up first. Just on the spectator thing, though, which we've got no entry to Phillip Island. Hopefully, we'll get to an event in Sandown the next month, like you said. Staying on the Formula One subject, there is wishful thinking. I think everyone's got their fingers, toes, legs, everything, maybe their wires crossed plus their hair. Up to 50,000 spectators for Australian Grand Prix weekend next year.
I think that could work. Because if you look at Bathurst, they had them on the main straight spaced out. So I think something like that could work. And it's a bigger area, Albert Park, so I think something like that could work.
Yeah, and I mean, they're obviously not going to have people coming. The only people coming from overseas are going to be the teams and possibly sort of a small group of media. But apart from that, I mean, it's all going to be locals. You're not going to have the sort of, the normal huge contingent of German and Dutch tourists coming in, people from Japan coming in to be a part of it.
If there's no crowd, I don't think it'll fly, because Victorians have already been locked down twice, so they'll see it. The naysayers will see it as being. If you lock off public roads for a car race with no crowd, it's just not going to fly.
Yeah, I can't see how they're going to be able to justify that. And that was part of the problem with Adelaide in terms of why they can pull the plug on it, because it really was a case of, look, could we have all this disruption and all this money on an event that isn't going to bring in people from overseas, isn't going to bring in people from interstate, but at least hopefully by the time...
Well, the FIA will be probably not throwing a huge amount of carnage or pressure at the government and the health regulations here, but they want some sort of spectators. They've kept it as the opening round of the calendar. It's going to be a record calendar for the number of races next year. They're going to have, I think, over a third of W Series now races tacked onto the calendar throughout the world. It's going to be, everyone's going to be championing at the bit to watch Formula One. I think as far as a telecast point of view, FIA will be putting pressure on every circuit around the world to have spectators on, to create the atmosphere on TV to say we're back, and so is everybody on board.
Yeah, I don't think it's Pete saying, that sort of environment is, it's not like being packed into the Rod Laver Arena or even the MCG or something like that. I mean, because you're in sort of a semi-enclosed space, but out at Albert Park, you are literally out in the wind and the rain and the sun and all the rest of it. So your chances, unless you're sort of directly talking to somebody who is unfortunate enough to have the thing, the chances of it sort of spreading amongst the spectators is, touch wood, relatively small. So, and if we're still sort of wearing masks, I certainly don't mind wearing the bloody mask if it means going along and having a day at the Grand Prix.
Yeah. Even this year, the races with no crowds on television, I think it's worked reasonably well. Sure, it's better with crowds, but it's worked okay. Like, you notice different things. when you're watching it.
Yeah, I think that was always the thing. I remember when we interviewed, John Hindhoff at, for the last series of In Pit Lane on Channel 30, 31 and 44 in Adelaide. Talking to John, as I said then, motorsport is much better placed than any other sport in the world because everywhere else in terms of the audio atmosphere, you need the crowd. The crowd generates the noise and the atmosphere. We don't need that in motorsport. We generate our own soundtrack, and it's a fabulous soundtrack, much better than 22, 24 race cars flying around a racetrack is a much better sort of soundtrack than Gollywood Bowl.
Speaking
On a
of
controversial
soundtracks, Mr. Ramsey,
Yes.
can you pull the microphone a little bit closer to you so that you're actually at a reasonable volume compared to everyone else? Well, I can hear Doc really well. I can hear Peter really well. I can hear Chris really well.
Is that
I can't hear Brett.
Oh,
is that any better?
It is
That is
closer to being
good pick,
acceptable.
nice.
Yes, I've
Although
Nice pick
somebody's
up, Stuart.
listening to their speakers, so I'm hearing everybody echoing.
Yes, we're
Yeah,
all,
I've got the same.
Actually, I can put mine on, but yes, we will do.
I've
Well,
got
I mean,
you.
if
You're
you
right
got
there.
here if you got here for the pre-show, I mean, you were doing something silly like eating or something.
What?
Yeah. On
I'm
a
sorry, I
controversial
was
Say
note,
stuff now.
buying
I can't hear
car
them 'cause I
parts.
don't have
I
on
was
a
buying
controversial,
car
the
parts.
headphones in. There we go. Now,
on a
Eating car parts.
controversial,
are they working? Yes, they are. Good God! Well, wonders never cease.
on a controversial note, and we won't go into the AFL trade, which I've been watching the last hour or to an hour. We won't go into that because Collingwood's just about gone. They've lost half their best players from trading them away tonight, so they're cashed up with nowhere to go next year. However, Gerhard Berger put his hat into the ring this week and decided to have a substantial opinion on Ferrari, which he has probably every right to, since he did drive for him for two respectable, decent stints back in the day. And it was also an acclaimed driver, Formula One. He wasn't just a flash in the pan, and said that Ferrari needs to become less Italian. And I think he had a fair point in that. Chris, that's obviously pricked Chris's ears up. So I'll just give you I'll just give you an overview of what he said, that they need to become less Italian.
Yeah.
5 of the 6 head guys there at Ferrari at the moment are Italian and got their somewhere proverbial up there, whatever. And Bernie Ecclestone, he even quoted Bernie Ecclestone, which I don't think anyone, I've never agreed with him. I don't think anyone I've ever known has agreed with what Bernie Ecclestone's ever said. But a couple of years ago, he actually said that they need to be less Italian too. And Gerhard reiterated that, but obviously put some substantial evidence behind that, which is of their successful times over the last couple of decades. Ross Brawn is English, John Todd is French, Rory Byrne is he's South African and aero. He was in the head of the aero department. Michael Schumacher wasn't even Italian either. So you put all those people that have had a massive input into Ferrari over the years and have had leading roles, important leading roles within the team. And sure enough, they've had success. And they've also brought people into the team that not necessarily aren't Italian either. Add the Italian flavour to it, and they've been good. At the moment, Gerhard's got a point. They're a little bit too self-focused, indulged.
Well, that's always been the argument about Ferrari. I mean, it's the passion and everything that comes with the team is that, and there's often a lot of politics within the company that means that the right people don't get put in the right positions, and often the wrong people do. So, and they don't seem to have a great deal of business acumen and also people skills. I spoke with somebody, I think it was at a motor show years ago, who used to he was an engineer with Ferrari, and he said at the time, he said when things were going well, he said it was the best place to work in the world. He said they were just, everything was fantastic. He said we were winning races, the atmosphere was great. It was it was food and wine and pasta and everything. It was fabulous. He said, but once he said things went wrong, he said it was like a Marx Brothers movie. He said it was just people running into each other and falling over, and people are constantly arguing. And he just said that there was nobody with any discipline there to drag people in. He said that was the thing with John Todd and the other guys, Ross Brawn and those guys, is that they were able to get there and say, right, stop, that's it. You listen. I'm in charge. You put it through. You don't rush off and do your own thing. Whereas I think with some of them, they're very passionate. They just go off and they do their own thing and think that's right.
Yes, but we know what Italian passion's like. We've all seen the soccer players. A breeze goes past them and they're lying on the ground and my leg is broken.
Yes, you got it extremely poignant there.
Well, I think that's true. I think that's true of the sport of soccer in general. Unfortunately, that's my opinion of it anyway. So that'll get me hated by even more people. But anyway, that's Ferrari. There's no doubt that Formula One would be a lot stronger with a strong Ferrari, and it'd be great to see them if we could have like a classic Ferrari versus Mercedes battle. And then if you throw in sort of if Red Bull improved just that little bit more, take that next step up, and to have like the three of them. And hopefully for next year, for Daniel's sake, McLaren and also even Renault with Alonso, it'd be fantastic if we have all those things.
There is a simple solution to keeping the passion and getting them organised. Let's get a North Italian woman to run the place.
Ooh.
Northern Italian woman. Okay, trust me.
I'll give you another incentive as well, too, because
one of the nonnas. Just get one of the
exactly.
nonnas in,
Exactly.
One of those go,
nobody crosses the nonnas.
Do not. Yeah, no, you don't. You do what the nonnas. Nonnas
no pasta
best.
for you.
Exactly.
The other incentive is that Mercedes gave 1,200 employees this week or thereabouts this week, or it's going to go on their next paycheck. 1,200 of their employees directly related to the Mercedes team are going to get a $10,000 bonus as well too for winning the Constructors' Championship. So we should be working for Mercedes in Formula One. However, on that note, on a sadder note, no Vietnam F1 too. It's been dropped from the calendar, unfortunately.
Yes, put on where's my not surprised? I'm not surprised face. That's going to go. That has the potential to go the way of Thailand.
You've got a not surprised face?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We could have flown to Vietnam's not that far away.
I'd have loved to.
It's in the same time zone.
Yeah, I was thinking because if a number of big ifs there, but if I had the money, if I had the time, if I was allowed, if I had the health, and all the rest of it, it would certainly be one because I haven't been. I've always wanted to go to Vietnam, and it's a place I've never been to, and I just thought, wouldn't it be a great holiday to just go off and spend perhaps 10 days in Vietnam, start off or finish off with the Grand Prix, and then go and do all the tourist thing, go eat all the fabulous food, and do all the things that you would do there, and then come home the next week, sort of thing would be great. But and not
they
all
very
that
big
expensive.
with the canal drag boat thing racing?
Oh, aren't they? You've seen some of the engines on those bloody things.
And they're on a pole, and you've got to steer by moving the whole engine.
The whole
Just
engine.
this prop moving at 9,000 odd RPM out the back.
It is an accident waiting to happen. That's what's
Absolutely
so
lethal
hilarious.
the way motorsport is meant to be.
and
That's Tom, yeah.
And of course, nobody's wearing any safety gear. The things are basically long wooden
boat.
boats.
You're surrounded by water. Just dive in.
Have you ever hit the water at about 70 miles an hour? It's not soft.
I'm not going to
Yes,
admit
yes,
or
I
deny
actually
anything.
have. True story. I have hit it at 70 miles an
Yes,
hour.
you would have. Yes.
I have hit it about. It was over 100 k an hour. I hit it, and I did not hear. Both my eardrums were perforated, and I did not hear for about a month and a half, 2 months. True story.
Sounds right.
Yeah. No, the water is. Water is surprisingly hard. Yes, it's
And
concrete.
if you
when you
drive
go from
French cars, you know how to skip across puddles.
Yeah, whether you want to or not.
And the funniest part about those boats over in Vietnam, you guys just mentioned, none of them have probably done double the speed that they're going to do when they race them anyway, because they've never been tested that until they probably get to that point.
The thing is, it's really funny. If you go and have a look at those, I saw a story on them once, and there was one that I was looking at. They were doing a story, and I thought, God, that engine looks very familiar. And sure enough, it was a Holden Red motor with a turbocharger on it. You know,
186.
no, to 202. The 202. That's just,
Oh, the 202. Sorry, the Tier 186 was a blue. Tier 202 is red. Sorry.
Yeah, so it was. It was then somebody had, I've got family in Australia. They went to the wreckers. They found an engine. We found plenty of go faster bits available online, or that we could drag over here, and we it pumps out about 450 horsepower now.
Let's stay with the open wheelers for a second before we get stuck on the water forever. S5000s. Sorry. Go, Chris, Richie.
Oh, getting back to Vietnam, have they got a racetrack?
Well, they built it. Yeah, I think it's mostly built. Pete, is it built finished, or are they still building it?
No, I think it's pretty much finished. Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly looks finished, but
it's part street circuit and part.
Was that one of the ones that was touted for maybe under lights as well too? Possibility, long shot. Was that a lights one as well too?
Eventually, it was touted that that was the direction it would go in. Yeah,
because obviously they're in a similar position. I mean, the time zone isn't exactly. It's a better time zone than we are. I mean, we're about the worst time zone. Apart from New Zealand, would be about the worst time zone in the world for any of those things. And the Australian Grand Prix, despite being the opening round of the series, is always probably the worst rating Grand Prix that you've got out there, along with the Japanese Grand Prix for the same reason, because they're in the same time zone, and people like we're used to watching at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning or something, but in Europe, I mean, that's Formula One is very much a Sunday afternoon.
Stuart's got a graphic up, a video of those crazy Vietnamese with, and looks like.
No, actually, this one's from Bangkok, but it's the same sort of boat racing.
With the skip on the front, the skip guy at the front, he's probably just get the new hairstyle by the look of it.
I saw some.
It's absolutely nuts, but absolutely fabulous. I mean, look at this damn thing.
Oh,
look at the size of the motor on the back of that.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We got to get over there. We've got to go over there and do an in-pit lane live stream of the.
Oh yes, please. Speaking of live streams and drag racing and what have you, on my way back from parts shopping today, I did actually drive past Calder Park, and the place looks fabulous, but I missed out on seeing Peter Salides because he'd already gone home for the day.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Once again, not sure what's. I think the last thing I got in regard to racing at both Calder Park and Adelaide is just making sure that there's going to be adequate numbers. One, to run the meeting safely, but also to make it worth their while to open because it's, as we've said before, it's not their track. It's not Peter's track, and he's got to pay money to people. And I don't think he's going to be getting. I don't think he's going to be getting a discount based on the fact that look, we can only let 300 people in.
But it would be absolutely fabulous if we can have some drag racing back for summer and whatever. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, and it's once again it's one of those it's one of those forms of motorsport where the risk is going to be very low in terms of spreading the disease. Everybody's out and about, and I mean, yes, by all means, if you need to like ban spectators, then then do it, because let's face it, I mean, for most meetings we're going to be there live streaming it anyway. So
you got more chance of catching a fly in the mouth and swallowing it at Calder Park than you have at COVID, I think.
Yeah, or getting bit by a snake, or falling down a hole, or
get bitten by a bee, stung by a bee, or bitten by a grasshopper.
Yeah, getting eaten by one of those ordinary plants out the back of the. There's a whole. There's a whole horror film happening out the back of that track if you go out there at any time, which we have a few times. But
before I get on to the other horror film, which is the silly season of Cars, I should say. Jeez, I hate when I do that.
We don't.
S5000 have locked in there for. No, I don't. You're right, Stuart. You are totally right. I don't hate it. For Don't Blink As You Miss It, S5000 have locked in there 4 races, all all done before halfway through the year next year. They've going to Simmons Plains, Phillip Island. The TBA is the TBA. You don't have to be road scholar to work out that will be the AGP, Australian Grand Prix, and they're going to finish up with the Sydney Motorsport Park. Good news is that two of them, the Phillip Island, I think, and the SMP, are going to be televised on Channel 7 free to air. And I dare say, because the Australian Grand Prix will still be with Channel 10's hands next year anyway at this stage, unless something else happens, you'll get 3 out of 4. So that's if Channel 10 give it a bit of a wave of camera at it.
I've also heard that Simmons Plains will be televised.
Yeah, Simmons Plains will be televised as part of the Australian Racers Group. Not sure about Baskerville. The one that, Baskerville is a non-championship round. It's like an exhibition. It's a track I've never been to. I used to watch it. They used to show, the ABC used to show what was called the Baskerville 10,000, which was a big sports sedan race, and all of the big names would go over there. Sometimes driving sort of, guest car. Like Alan Moffat went over and drove not his Capri, but a locally built 250 sort of 4.1 litre 6-cylinder Capri that was running around in there as in Tasmania as well. Peter
I don't
Brock
see
drove
a
local
Capri
cars.
on any of those graphics.
No. Well, that's the S5000. The interesting one is Phillip Island, in February, because initially I thought, oh, well, that will be the historics, but I thought, no, hang on a second. If they continue to have the historics the week before the Grand Prix, it's obviously going to be in March. So I'm not sure what they're planning there for Phillip Island, but
well, they're going to be. They said 3 of the events will be TCR, so. Which ones are the 3 TCRs going to be at? So which one is not TCR?
Well, Simmons Plains is TCR. Sydney, I'm assuming Sydney Motorsport Park is TCR.
Yeah.
As you say, the March is. They obviously haven't done the deal yet for the Grand Prix, but you would imagine, or you would hope that would be
Must
on
be
again.
Close.
But Phillip Island, as I said, I don't know. I haven't heard a race, because the only thing that's usually on around that time for that weekend, of course, is the superbikes. And Doc, you would know, I believe the superbikes have already been cancelled or at least postponed. I think they've been postponed for later in the year, so that opens up that sort of February date. It
is. Just quickly, I'll talk about the Moto GP. There's a huge amount of news coming through, and I took some advice on notice and got some more details about the stuff you asked last week. Just some extremely sad news is where Matthias Barbosa unfortunately passed away on the weekend in the World Superbikes, and it was just one of those freaky accidents. They're blaming brake failure. It's on YouTube if you want to see it, but I'm not. Stuart's obviously extremely respectful and won't be playing this clip. But yeah, he unfortunately lost it. Went straight on a probably almost a 90-degree long left-hand turn, and yeah, he went down the exit road and then hit the hit the steel framing of parts of the thing, which was really unfortunate. So all I'd hope is that they're going to, obviously every single accident these days gets highly scrutinised by every single part of motorsport, but it's just one of those ones where you're almost begging him when you watch it the second time after the first one's extremely frightening. Second time you're going, just drop the bike. There's plenty of, there's grass, there's dirt, there's so much around and no other bikes to do it. But he lost it, came off the bike, then got back pulled himself back up on it when it was, tank slapping as they do, not majorly or in a huge manner. Got back on it and then realised what he was going for and then tried to leap off it. But then, the circumstances got the better of him. So really sad news as far as that goes. Yeah, it was a terrible accident. There were clearly some brake problems because the thing just didn't slow down at all. As you say, discretion the better part of value. My old man used to say all the time they should ban that word. If there isn't, there's no such thing as if. There is did or didn't, and the fact is he didn't jump off. And drop it. If he'd have dropped it, he was in the gravel. Chances are he'd still be with us. But that was a horrible thing. But 23 years of age.
Yeah, but that's the thing with most. Somebody said just recently, someone I was talking to just recently said the one thing about COVID is it's probably saved quite a few motorcyclists because we haven't seen an Isle of Man TT, we haven't seen the Irish road races, we're not going to see a Macau motorcycle Grand Prix. We are going to see a Macau car Grand Prix, but it's going to be run for Asian Formula 4. There will be a Macau Grand Prix. I'm not sure. I don't think it's this weekend. I think it's the weekend after. And if there's a live stream that we can tap into, we'll have that on the In Pit Lane page. Because as you know, the Macau Grand Prix had the fortune of going there. A unique event. If you get the opportunity to ever go to a Macau Grand Prix, it's like. It's surreal. It's like walking into an absurdist movie. It's the most remarkable event that you've ever been to in your life, and it's hilariously funny and great racing, brilliant track. Once again, a bit like Bathurst, you don't realise how steep and how narrow and how tough it is until you actually get the opportunity of walking around it and going, "Wow, this is looks good on television, but wow, it's even tougher when you're there in real life." But yeah, great meeting.
Bucket list for Macau, for sure. We might as well stick to the bikes. I'll get them out of the way because there is some huge news this week. You've got, I'll go to the first one for the current riders. Andrea Dovizioso, or Dovi as he's affectionately known. Dovi is taking a sabbatical. He had 3 or 4 teams he could have joined, possibly even ridden at a lower level team like Aprilia or something like that. He's decided to not even test ride next year and is going to take a total sabbatical. Don't think he's going to do a Fernando Alonso F1 style and go do that, but he does have a huge passion and gets on the motocross bikes like a lot of them do their training on, but he wants to have a muck around on some motocross stuff for 12 months and has wholeheartedly said wants to be back in the main gig the following year. So the reason part of the motocross scene will be to keep himself fit. He'll stay 100% fit, he has said. The other big news is the guy that was racing at the start of the year and had an accident in a shower after another accident, or before an accident, or after a surgery before. Look, it just gets really, really Adams family. But Marc Marquez, who has not raced all year, who was just about favourite for the next 200 years to win the Moto GP title every year, he will not race for the rest of the year. He has come out and publicly said that himself. That's huge news this week. So that's two big news. The last 2 races, I took question on those. Brett asked me last week how many races there are left. There are 2. We've got Valencia and Portimao. The big news that's going to come out of those is Joan Mir was not winning the season so far as the championship goes this year. He won his first race, and not only did he win, his teammate they won too. Absolutely. Suzuki team, the whole team was in tears. Alex Rins was the second place getter for Suzuki. Haven't won a race for so many years, or even, for I think it was 1854. I think Suzuki won a race, maybe a little bit less. However, they've only had podiums lately, and everyone's just conceded. Especially in the paddock, they got a huge congratulations from other teams on the spot who have been just begging him and just knocking him along, trying to give him a hand. They're just the best all-round bike this year. So he is, I think, 37 points ahead of his nearest rival, which is happens to be Rins, his teammate, and Quartararo, who was red-hot favourite at the start of the year and on fire when Marquez went down with his injury, but he's just had bad luck after just some DNFs himself, and it's just been an all-round thing. So, yeah, stick close to the Moto GP for the last 2 races of the year. They are televised on TV, and they're lots of fun, and it's still a chook raffle for anyone who wants to get a podium and a place in the championship at the end of the year.
Yeah, great racing, and Jack Miller was there or thereabout but he made a sort of a poor start and couldn't quite get back on the tail again. We've got some stuff. The Australian Superbike Championship, the rounds 2 and 3, because the opening round was on their. Paul has said that Australian Superbike rounds coming up at Phillip Island. At Wakefield Park, December 3 to 6. No spectators. So that's up at Wakefield. Bikes around Wakefield would be interesting, I think. Probably not a bad circuit for them, but very tight. But Yeah, good little circuit one. They're also spending some. They're spending some serious money. Winton have done a lot to. They've improved the track at Winton, and there's talk that they're going to do like a major revamp of Winton in the next year or two to make it like an absolute world class circuit, possibly even FIA level 2. And it would be great. I really hope they consider and they could get the permission to put a drag strip up there. It would be the ideal place for it. It's far enough away.
There's enough room for it.
Yeah, there's more than enough. There's more than enough room.
If you have a look at Winton, say using Google Earth and what have you, you can actually see where it used to be an airport across the middle. It'd be ideal to run a drag track through there.
Yeah, I think
more than long enough.
Yeah, and they own that land at the back of the extension, so they would. I think there would be plenty of room to fit one in somewhere. And drag racing has always been so big up. Shepparton always had drag racing.
It's always big in the country areas.
I mean, Swan Hill's got their own track, and it's very there. In fact, I think Swan Hill's racing this weekend as well. It's a track I haven't been up to. Swan Hill, obviously, a long way away, but wouldn't mind getting up there.
I wouldn't mind going up there and doing a stream from there just to see what it's like.
I think that I think that's one of the problems we haven't been up there is they've got their own streaming taken care of.
Oh,
in fact,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I know that I think they're going to. I think Sporting Scribe are doing the streaming up there. So. It was a track it's had some problems, but I believe it is sort of opening up again, and because it's a really good track. It's got heated track. There's heating elements under the track because even though it's up in Swan Hill at night, it gets bloody cold sometimes. So they've actually put heating elements under the track to keep the track in good condition. So spent some money up there. It's a great circuit. Might be Mildura this weekend that they're running at instead of. But either way, Swan Hill, Mildura, all that area.
Destination Country Victoria. Everyone's flooding out, and now the gates are open for us. I went to Warragul on Monday, and they hadn't taken the barriers down, and it was a quagmire trying to get through the funnel just past Narnagoon. I had to go pick up a car part, a bit like Stuart, but I wasn't leaving it till late. And speaking of heating up, though, in the Super Spa, water is heating up. Did I read a sort of an excerpt of an article this week that there's 2 reserve requisites that are available, and that Chris and Peter are buying one each and going to start a team or rent out their wrecks to some teams?
I wouldn't be buying a wreck with someone else's money. That's for
Chris,
sure.
No comment. Peter, nothing. You're not trying to lobby super spas for their wrecks, are you?
No.
Because there's 2 teams short of wreck.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they've had those. There's been wrecks floating around for a while. I mean, they're being sensible about it. They're basically saying we're not putting them up until we can get the money that we want for them and we think that they're worth. We're not going to just send them out to there are people in the Dunlop Super 2 series who wouldn't mind jumping into the main game, but they're not able or not prepared to spend the amount of money that Liberty Media and not Liberty Media, Archer Capital have, and supercars in general would like to.
Well, some are happy that they might be obviously selling them to a couple of teams out there that want to run a 2-car setup rather than 1 car. And there are others in the paddock that aren't happy because then the spread of money that Supercars gets goes out to two more teams across the envelope. So there's just so much going on there as well. It is really the crazy. It's not the silly season Christmas coming up. What driver's going there, who's driving for who, what sort of car they're going to be running, sponsorship. There's been a few locked in the last week or two, but I was just reading an article on Chris Pitter today. He says he's keen on driving for Coke next year in Sydney, and yet and obviously they're keen to have him again as well though too, but they haven't quite signed the deal yet.
Yeah, well, we've seen a few moves. Obviously, it's been confirmed. Anton De Pasquale and Will Davison will be up at Dick Johnson Racing. It hasn't been 100% confirmed, but everybody has just assumed David Reynolds will be heading to Rick Kelly or to Kelly Brothers Racing and driving a Mustang and probably
He
taking
might be Tickford.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that one. That's
Yeah,
there was another one floating around that he would go back to Tickford.
Yeah.
But I think that's very slim, given his past history there.
Well, they said he could go back for Tickford, and then if he does go back for Tickford, because this is where it goes, Lee Holdsworth is going to, and that's why Tickford need another wreck, because then Lee's, they'll take the truck assist will go to whoever's going to go there anyway, and then Lee out of all of them hasn't got the amount of sponsorship the others have, and the other one is Tim Slade's going to come back into the main game as well too.
Yeah, I saw the talk about Tim Slade. I mean, he's a good driver, and he will be welcome back into the series full time. Be interesting to see then. I mean, you've got if Erebus lose Penwright, who's bringing the money there? I mean, they put up their hand for sort of everyone's assuming it's Will Brown and Brodie Kostecki. I don't think either of them are bringing huge amounts of money. I may be wrong. I don't know enough about, but it's from what I hear, I don't think they're sort of they're not Lance Stroll.
Was the Tim Blanchard was needing the other wreck as well too? I think there was Tickford needed one because it was the other team's taking it back, and I think Blanchard needed another one.
Tim Blanchard, I think, is taking his, and they're going to go out on their own. And set up a base in the eastern suburbs.
It's somewhere near you, isn't it, Pete? I mean,
Yes,
that's what I heard. In Boston, perhaps wander down and see if you can get a gig somewhere. I mean, they'll need a media person.
Yeah. But I think the David Reynolds going to back to Tickford is quite slim. Given his past history,
he could take Penwright with him though too as well.
But given his past history there, because he got sacked for being a naughty boy, so I don't think
that doesn't sound like Dave.
Look, I'll tell you what though. When you say a naughty boy, I think it's just the publicity that surrounds it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. He does have the clashes with the people within the team, but how substantial? But he's unruly, I think was the quote. But I mean, if he has the clashes with the team, with people within the team, well then yes, you can say this is not working. Someone has to move on. The other stuff about the PR, I think people take it a little bit too seriously sometimes.
They do, but
way too seriously.
Yeah, but that's corporate. The other thing I've heard is that Lee Holdsworth is basically on the outer because James Courtney, Peter Adson, and James Courtney are under the Tickford umbrella. So.
Yeah, because that you would say, well, could Lee end up back at Erebus? But if they've got their seats set already, and it's going to be, and then you've got to say, well, what happens? I mean, obviously, like Will Brown is moving up, but what happens with Tom Randall? I mean, he's the champion, and this is the problem that we always have is we get there's been so many Super 2 or development series or whatever they've called it in the past, people who going right back 10, 15 years. Yeah. People going back, who just, they win the champion, they do all the right things, and then they're never able to take that next step because there's just the log jam at the front from people who have money to bring or all the rest of it who have been there for probably way too long.
Well, like really, you just said, Thomas Randall's just won it. Chris Pither won the 2018 Super 2.
Yeah, so he eventually got in, but it would be a shame if Thomas didn't get in. I think that's one of the things that TCR is going to help out with as well is the fact that there will be another place for them to race, and also S5000 as well. It would be because obviously Tom's raced S5000. It'd be great to see him and a few of those those young guys
it would be remiss of me to say, but there's a seat there, and obviously Macaulay Jones may not be racing as well too. So Brad Jones, BJR's got a spot too, and that also brings into the equation another guy that we haven't mentioned, but it's been doing the circles is Fab, the old Fab Coulthard. So will he be just happy to be an enduro driver next year and getting paid to just play funny buggers? Or is he still got the passion for a full-time seat as well too?
I think it's basically a full-time, second banana at Bathurst, and if we have any other endurance races, is probably his go now. I mean, he's a very, very capable driver, and we know on his day he can beat anybody, but he's just not consistent enough, and he's been there a long time, and there's just too many people coming up from the bottom ranks who just, who probably deserve a go. Now's like, thanks. And that's why it would be good to see more endurance races. I mean, the only time I'm really interested in supercars, quite frankly, is when there's endurance races on. And it would be great to see them bring back, sort of to have, like in the old days. They used to have in the old days, had the Australian Touring Car Championship that went basically from February through until about June, and then they took a break, and then September they came back for Sandown, and we had Bathurst, there was a Phillip Island 250, and Surfers Paradise race of a similar length.
400. And then later, Wellington.
Wellington they had for... So it gives you... gives more opportunity, and it's a great place for those older drivers like Lounsey and Fabs and
hang on, did you just call Lounsey old?
What was that?
Yeah. Did you just call Lounsey old?
Well, he's got the grey hair. He's catching up. He's catching up with us. But
he just put Warren Luff, and he just put Rick Kelly in there. He just put GT Glass Tandy. You just put in the old category as well, though. Too. Who else do we think
so many of those? I tell you what. I mean, there's no money about at the moment. But geez, if you could get them all interested enough to be involved, and you could find somebody where they could do like a one-make series or so. You're sort of a Legends of Motorsport, a Legends of Supercar, thing with people like that, and with Bowie and.
Did you just say, Brett, that Stephen Richards and Dean Canto are really, really, really old now because they're not even support drivers now?
Well, I think in Stephen's case, I think that was a choice that he made.
Stephen's cool though. Hello, Stephen. I know Stephen and Clay watch our show quite regularly and hit likes and stuff. So how you going, fellas? Hoping to catch up, and we're still going to go for that ride in the Ducati as well too, Steve-o. Anyway, Richo.
Okay, now just a question here: which one make? Because do you want to punk them and go with Tesla Model 3s, or do you want to put them in something tiny? Doc, back me up on this. It's driving a small engine car hard and getting around the track.
Hyundai i30?
Like something tiny, like the city car series they're running in the UK, where you've got to keep the revs up and what have you, is much harder. It's much more a driver-based experience than it is if you've got massive engine, massive traction, and it'll just do all the power in the world.
I will wholeheartedly back you up on this, Stuart. Sorry, Brett. I will let you go next. But yes, I agree totally. There is so many little cars like that maybe a supplier / a car
something cheap enough that they can rub panels.
Yeah, like they used to do with I've got a Nissan Pulsar ET Turbo, and they used to run and they used to have invitational ones from international drivers that come around, and they used to throw those things at each other rather than at the track, where to the point where they have to come back and every car had a panel that needed replacing, or they'd rolled the car. And they even had a race at Calder Park, so Gricey and Dick Johnson and all the, Kevin Bartlett, I think, all the legends. But yeah, if you were to get a Nissan, a Micro or a Leaf or Toyota Corolla or a modern day version, a Hyundai or any small car like that, doesn't matter whether it's front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, and give them a ticket to ride, you're going to get some entertainment plus. I think you're onto something there, Stuart.
Yeah, it'll be because you go back to the days of the Renault New Star series, and then there was the Laser series, the similar sort of thing, the Alpha Sud series. There was a whole bunch of small cars and big fields, and just people bashing into each other and having a bit of fun. And it would be great, that Pulsar thing. And of course, they had the Race of Champions with Commodores back out at Calder for the Australian Grand Prix when they were running there. And you had people like Alain Prost and those sort of people running almost bog standard Commodores with people like John Bow and Brocky and all those sort of things. So that'd be a lot of fun.
Did they give him the 3.3 litre, or at least give him a V8 option?
I think it was the V8 actually. I'd have to check up on that. I mean, John Bow.
4.2 or 5 litre, yeah.
I'd be thinking the 5 litre, but.
Are you still on? Are you and John still? You know, at the moment, you just said you got different political opinions at the moment, so.
I think we're right. I've got different political opinions to just about everybody who watches the show. So, but yeah.
Speaking of politics, I want to digress for a moment.
Oh, this is a worry.
Some of you might have seen that Kevin Rudd, of all people, had a petition into Canberra to do a investigation into media ownership in Australia.
Royal Commission, yes.
The person who appears to have co-signed it is Malcolm Turnbull.
That's
And the person who appears to have delivered it to the Parliament is Senator Hanson Young. So you've got Labor, Liberal and Greens actually working together.
Horror.
I wouldn't. Yeah, you can digress. I totally agree with him. Doesn't matter whether they're from the left or they're from the right or from the middle or the top or the bottom. They are well-renowned politicians who got a lot of respect from people around Australia. Doesn't matter what persuasion they are, and they have the best. I suppose they want the best outcome, and they have the best, intentions for Australians.
Last time I looked at it, they had over 400,000 signatures to have an investigation in the media in Australia.
They're up to 5.
Yeah, they got the 500,000. Yeah, they got the 500,000 in the
So
end.
it kind
Absolutely
of says
brilliant.
that a lot of people are not happy with the media as it stands in Australia.
No, nor should they be, but we won't go
Exactly.
into that. But yes, if you are.
I'm just making the point. They can work together
So
when they need to.
what we'll do as far as in pit lane is, and we'll get you off air to this organised, Brett, is we'll send an email off to Mr. K. Rudd or sexy Malcolm Turnbull with his leather jacket and get him on board to get to get his leather jacket. Yeah, bring back the leather jacket, please, Malcolm. But brown or black, I don't think anyone cares. Get them on board to get Channel 31 completely off the books next year to stay on air forever. And you never know, we'll get hundreds of thousands of. And you know what? Doesn't matter what Fletcher does up there in Canberra.
Let's not forget that the man who made the decision to get rid of Channel 31 was Malcolm Turnbull, who announced it at a business breakfast in Brisbane only 2 weeks after opening the Australian Community Media Association conference up in Queensland, where he was saying what an amazing job the community media was doing, and community radio and community television. Oh, we love those. We're right 100%. And then, no discussions, nothing. It was just literally Channel 31 got a phone call from someone at the Age and said, how do you respond to the announcement that you're going to be shut down in 12 months?
The difference is now, though, he's not running the country. He's not Prime Minister anymore. He is not under the thumb of Rupert Murdoch anymore, and he makes his own decisions again. So now he's back on the side.
It's a medical miracle. He's suddenly grown a spine. It's just remarkable.
He has. He's back on our side again, and he is an advocate for us. The problem was when he was Prime Minister. Yes, Rupert.
Malcolm is an advocate for Malcolm, and that's why he's butthurt.
It might not have been yes, Rupert, no, Rupert, because that's why he got rolled.
That's why he got rolled.
Well,
anyway, let's stop talking about
back
politics
to
now. We are not. Yeah, back to motorsport because we're running out of time.
Upset too many listeners.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, everyone's turning
Oh,
off right
okay.
now,
Back
so
to
they
motorsport. Jensen Button is selling his LA mansion for $8 million. Because anyone got their wallet? Got their LA mansion, £8 million, I should say. Sorry, has anyone got that? There, that's motorsport. Jensen Button for you.
How much is that in kilograms?
Yes.
pounds.
Okay, I think that's, oh yes, so coming up this weekend, the Sebring 12-hour race, and what is interesting, it's obviously that was delayed, that was supposed to run the week after the Bathurst 12-hour, that's a couple of weeks after the Bathurst 12-hour, around the time of the Grand Prix in March, and they've cancelled that or postponed it until this weekend. So the Sebring 12-hour, it's no longer a round of the World Endurance Championship, which also is running this weekend as well. It's really crazy that you've got two of the biggest, the two biggest sports car series in the world, both running on the same weekend. But it was just a case of, there was no other opportunity to get dates when they needed them. So Jackson Evans he's a New Zealander, a Kiwi, but he won the Australian Carrera Cup Championship. He's getting a factory drive in at Sebring. He's going to drive one of the American Porsches, and that will be Porsche's last appearance as a factory team in GTE or GTLM, as they call it over there, for the foreseeable future. And that's a real worry for next year, because they've already lost the Ford GTs. It looks like they're probably going to lose, at least for the sprint races, they're going to lose BMW. They're now losing Porsche as well, which basically means it's going to come down to a Ferrari versus Corvette fight, which in its own way could be great if you had a few more of them, because at the moment it's going to be sort of, I think it's going to be a 4-car field in GTLM, which is a real shame, because it's a great, unless Aston Martin get involved as well officially. If Aston get involved, that would save, at least you'd have 6 cars there, because GTLM is always consistently provides the best racing at any of those meetings. So that's coming up this weekend.
Just a tidbit on that sort of stuff overseas, and it is a tidbit. Toyota, I quote, are satisfied with their first test of their hypercar.
Yeah, they ran that round at I think it was at Paul Ricard that they ran that. I mean, it should go well, because it's basically, as far as I know, it's pretty much the same mechanicals as is in the current car. It's just a different, meeting different body style regulations, and a few limitations in terms of the power that they're putting out to make them hopefully a little bit cheaper.
There you go, Stuart. There's a bit of wave a carrot at you. Can you see if you can find some great footage of that hypercar for next week, please, Stuart?
Yeah, they did very well. I mean, because usually when something's out at Paul Ricard, somebody out there is out there somewhere. I mean, we had the Bugatti was out there, but we haven't seen. We've seen the road going version, of course. So we'll see what the race car version looks like. It shouldn't look that much different, apart from the fact it'll have the big honky great fit at the back and a larger wing. But so that's getting ready for next year. So this will be the last appearance of the current Toyotas. They've had a fantastic run. The last appearance officially of LMP1, although there are a couple of cars grandfathered for next year, running under the Alpine. The Rebellion cars are running under the Rebellion. The Rebellion car's running under the Alpine brand for next year, and hopefully that might be the opening for Renault to commit to the 100th anniversary of Le Mans in 2022, because Peugeot will be there, and that would be spectacular to have Peugeot, Alpine, Toyota, some people like Glickenhaus and all the rest of it, and even the possibility that Porsche might come back. Porsche have put some stuff online now of a concept car based on their Le Mans winning prototype, and some people are saying, well, is this a toe in the water for a possible hypercar? So let's see what happens.
Thanks, Stuart. You don't need to worry about wait for next week. I've shown the red flag at the bull, and out comes the Toyota Gazoo Racing.
That's the road going version.
Yeah, the road going version. But there we go. If I speak, it'll go to the footage. Let's just rewind it back a little bit for you, and some on-track footage. And I'm not playing the sound and whatever, so we don't get overly pinged for copyright. We'll call it. We'll call it fair use, and that's a pretty interesting design.
It's fair.
I mean, it's
fair
a
use
road-going version.
In camouflage.
Yeah, Yeah, that's actually proper, like an actual proper prototype car that's become a sports car. I mean, that's a good thing for everyone, if you ask me.
It's in full camouflage colours, so I can't see, and there's no. It's totally free of rights.
The other bit of sports car news.
Speaking of high-speed cars, has anyone kept an eye on the speed records out of the US? Somebody's got to go again.
Oh, the electric car. What is it?
No.
Oh, you mean the guy that passed away in UK?
No. They used to be Vector Aeromotive. SSC, I think they're called now. Shelby Sports Cars.
All right, yep.
They've got to rerun their high-speed run because not only is the data suspect, so is the vision.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's all over the YouTube at the moment. There's including some very, very advanced sort of mathematics that is being used to point out that no, they did not get that to that speed, and here's why from a mathematical standpoint. But anyway, so watch that there. Hey, listen, we're out of time now. It's 10 o'clock. So if you've been watching, thanks for joining us. As I said, we'd really love people to come in and join us every week. So we're just not talking amongst each other. We'd like to have a few friends in and join us as well. Got to figure out how to make that happen because it seems to be. I've had a few people say, "Oh, it's so complicated," and it's like, "Oh, okay."
Really?
Yeah, we'll work it. We'll work it out.
Here.
It is for me.
Oh, it's so good. You've got to have your microphone up near to your mouth. So I mean, it's you've got it's that complicated.
It's very complicated. Speaking, I didn't have my microphone. I'm showing this to Stuart. There is my $15 pile mic, which to make work I had to pay $50 for an adapter.
Oh,
what?
So so my $15. Well, it was $27 Australian by the time I got it, and then I had to go and get an adapter to get power to it from the mixer.
Oh, okay. So you didn't get the right one to match your system.
No, I'm not sure why. It works fine in the Road Go. It works fine in that. Doesn't work in the camera. Does work in the Road Go. And now with the Rode VXLR, it works with the.
All right, so it needs a little bit of power applied
it needs
to
power,
it.
yeah, it needs
some cameras
power.
don't do that.
Don't do that. Yep.
Some laptops do, some don't.
Yep.
Yeah, there's also a Mac Mini here that might do it.
Some need a lot of loving, and some girls don't.
Okay, well,
dated now.
yeah.
very, 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 very dated. Okay, Pete, what are your plans for the weekend?
Watching the Turkish Grand Prix. Yeah.
That there, and I think that is that a 2 or 3? It's back to a 3 day, isn't it?
3 days, back to 3 days.
Yep. Okay, so tomorrow night that'll be on KO and on Murdoch Vision. Chris, what are your plans?
Very little.
There you are. You heard it here first. We'll have film at 11. Then, Doc, what are you up to if we're not going down to Phillip Island? What are you going to be doing?
Oh, I'm heading up to Bendigo tomorrow to drop off some.
To do burnouts in an XB.
No, I am going to drop off some
Pell-mell.
furniture to my uncle. I will kiss the guard of my new car on the fly. Give it a blow it a kiss if I'm really in a hurry because I'm not even going to get a chance to probably have a look at it or run it because it's other family stuff. Down to Corio. Oh, there's a question for you. Corio or Corio? Please, anyone?
Corio.
Just
or
throwing it out
CLRT.
there. I'm just throwing it out there.
Or 5 minutes from Avalon Raceway.
Yes.
For giggles. I'm going, and then I'm going to Corio and pick up some GXL wheels. And then hopefully make it in time for some sort of bedtime tomorrow night. Because then I was planning, damn, we're not going to Phillip Island on Saturday, Sunday. But we might go hang out at the fence. Might go for a drive. Yeah,
I'm thinking of possibly going for a drive. I with being locked in and with sort of a few things that have gone on just recently, I sort of almost by accident discovered things about the past, about my family down Wonthaggi and Inverloch Way, and I realised I haven't really, I haven't been down there to spend time down there, and just because you're the same, we're all the same. We all race down to Phillip Island, do what we're doing at Phillip Island and race back again. I mean, Wonthaggi's only another sort of, 35, 40 minutes beyond Phillip Island, but you just don't have time to sort of say, I'll just turn around and pop into Wonthaggi say hello to a few people. You don't get that chance, so I might even do that, depending on how it's going.
I would just like to interrupt with a reminder: don't race down to Phillip Island. Don't race back from Phillip Island, because on race weekends there is always three extra speed
policeman's picnic.
This public service announcement brought to you by the Mini Club.
Why have you got? That's the 1970s Moke version. While you've got the floor, Stuart, what are you up to, my dear chap?
Let's see. Pulling a adjustable suspension out of a BMW to help a mate. Looking for shackle bushes for the back of the Voyager, and measuring up a frame to fit into the Voyager for our live streaming rig whenever we get to go back to drag racing.
That does actually sound like real fun. I do envy you as well too. And Brett, would you like me to shout? Probably sleeping. Would you like me to shout your can of Coca-Cola with the? Oh no, I can't. I don't want to say it too late. We'll go to the Phillip Island and take some placards down. Brett, what are you up to?
Yeah, we'll take some placards down. We'll protest about the Won't anybody think of the penguins? Let's go down. They've been live streaming the penguins.
Who do the penguins race from?
Oh, they race around the place. That could be interesting too. I mean, now that everything's getting back on Phillip Island again, all the local wildlife that's taken over the joint over the last few months is going to get a very rude awakening sometime over the next few days.
Wildlife everywhere. The poor parks and the forests and rainforests are all about to get, get a big whack this weekend as well. Where do all these people come from?
Yep, I think it's going to be a good place to stay away from. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us. Thank you to you at home for joining us. As I said, if you would like to join us, not just watch and contribute online, thanks to the people, to Richard and to Paul and the people who have been online with us. But if you would like to join the conversation and come on and join the panel, I mean, at the moment there's 6 of us here, but we got room for at least a couple more. Perhaps wouldn't want to get too many more. Probably 4 people will do us, but if you'd like to join us, by all means come along next week at 9 o'clock when we have more Full Course Yellow. And as I said, hopefully over the next few weeks we're going to get the opportunity to get out and start filming some stories and some stuff for both the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, and fingers crossed for a new series of In Pit Lane on Channel 31 and Channel 44 starting in March 2021. But until we see you next week, we'll all say goodbye now. Thanks for joining us, and I shall now press the magic button that says end stream to end stream. So in 3, 2, 1,
I'll go and find some pants now.
Bye.